Hello everyone, this is Space Hunter Nebula and I'm returning with part 8 of What If King Piccolo won. I can't tell if you can hear or not, but I am a little bit sick, but I just want to fulfill the promise I made to upload more stuff. So I am recording anyway. When we last left off, Drum, Bass, and the rest of the Inner Circle were targeted by a mysterious Namekian Saiyan bio-android, known as Recorder. His abilities were to copy attacks, fighting styles, and even to change his own body to match a certain power that the Saiyans would have been able to possess. While Drum and Bass were easily stronger than Recorder in his base form, no pun intended, the bio-android was able to use his unique Saiyan DNA to transform into a Super Saiyan, or a Super Namekian Super Bio-Android, Super Namekian Saiyan Bio-Android. He's weird. His genetics are not normal. He's not normal. He should not be allowed to exist. With his power, he proceeded to lay the smackdown on Drum and Bass until they were nearly defeated. Realizing they had no shot of beating him this way, Drum made the sacrifice to fuse into his son. Drum believed that in every way other than power, Bass was the superior of the two. Their fusion would have been the same amount of power no matter who fused into who anyway, so Drum gave up his life, fusing into Bass and allowing the demon lineage to go on for another day. Since Recorder had been beaten up in Bass, the power from the fusion was able to close the gap, allowing Bass to defeat Recorder and kill him by blowing his brains out with a two-fingered key blast to the head. And with that all said, let's get right back into the story. Kami lay upon the lookout, speechless at what he was witnessing through his prophetic vision. He was watching over Bass's battle with Recorder, not understanding a thing about what was going on. And that's when a sneaky bunch of individuals decided to climb their way to his lookout and take the Dragon Balls for themselves. This bunch, of course, is the elderly Pilaf gang who, in this scenario, did not become children again. And in their elder age, they seek only one thing: control of the world once and for all. While Kami is distracted watching Bass battle Recorder, the Pilaf gang and their machines go from the opposite direction of Kami and Mr. Popo, and they sneak into the chamber of the Black Star Dragon Balls. With nobody there other than Kami or Popo to distract them from their wish, they engage in a brief conversation about the Black Star Dragon Balls. Mai and Shu don't understand what they are, but Pilaf's done his research and explains what they are to them. Mai is kind of underwhelmed, but Pilaf just waves her off, saying that they will literally have control over the entire world. This most certainly is something Mai is more interested in. Since Goku and Oob aren't around to mess everything up, because, obviously, the Pilaf gang then swiftly summon Ultimate Shenron, and they wish for one thing: to become the monarchs of the world. They are then teleported into King Drum, or in this instance, King Bass's castle, and they take their position on the throne. One of the demon Namekians standing guard just blasts them to bits. A bit underwhelming, I know, but come on. What would they realistically do here against the demon Namekians? The Pilaf gang isn't really known for their cunning wit or their intelligence, but they are known for their ambition. However, they don't usually think that ambition through enough, since we see they were kind of clumsy with their wish in GT, and in this instance, they would be here too. Even though they legitimately intended for this wish, unlike the one they made in GT. When Kami feels Ultimate Shenron being summoned, his face runs cold and he begins to sweat hysterically. He and Mr. Popo go to check on the mausoleum of the Black Star Dragon Balls to see them used up. This, even more so than the demon invasion, is the worst thing that could have possibly happened, and now Kami would need assistance to deal with this problem one way or another. Now, whether he could find it or not is an entirely different story. Kami has a plan, though. Is it a good one? Maybe, but it seems like it's his best shot right now. Meanwhile, at the scene of the battle, Bass has just blown Recorder's brains out and sent home the two remaining soldiers of the Inner Circle. He's sitting down by a rock when a strange green man clad in white clothing and a blue cape appears before him. This is Kami, obviously. Bass asks Kami if he's here to witness the effects of the attack, or if he's here to continue the attack. Kami responds in the negative, telling Bass that he needs his assistance. Bass is a little confused by this, and kind of amused as well. He says that he'll help Kami within reason, because as far as Bass knows, this is just some elder demon Namekian, and demon Namekians, in their culture, probably have some sort of respect for the elderly thing, Though this guy's elder age is really confusing considering King Piccolo is supposed to be the oldest of them, and, he hasn't aged since his wish for eternal youth. But anyway, Bass doesn't really have any way of knowing what's up with this dude, because Drum never knew about him, and by extension, neither does he. Although, King Piccolo does know who this guy is, because it's Kami. That literally used to be half of him. Kami proceeds to tell him about the Black Star Dragon Balls, a set of wish-granting orbs that were stolen by some infernal gang. But that's not the worst of it. When these balls are wished on, they don't spread out like they normally do. Well, they do, but they spread out across the entire galaxy. The entire Milky Way itself contains these 7 balls, and they need to be brought back to Earth, or else it will explode in a year. Yeah, that's motivation enough for Bass to want to act. But first, he needs to recover from that battle he was just in. Kami understands, stating he was watching the fight closely and could tell it was a very intense encounter. So Kami would simply ask Bass to go and obtain a ship in order to start the journey. He would also be aware, more or less, about the Demon Namekian army's space expansion, and as much as Kami absolutely despises it, he realizes that the stakes here are more than just good or evil. Kami revives his Shenron, and he summons the Dragon Balls to his lookout. Now, while Kami can't wish the Black Star Dragon Balls back to Earth, he can wish for a device to detect them. So the Black Star Dragon Ball radar is created, and the original pair of Dragon Balls is scattered once again. Bass goes to his castle and he steps out into his warp pad. This was installed sometime during the 7-year time skip between the Cell and Bobbity arcs. Bobbity arc, because, Boo didn't show up. When he shows up on the other end, he's in the Demon Space Corps HQ. He's immediately met by some of their grunts, and he identifies himself as Bass. Off-screen, Drum and Bass have visited space before, so they kinda know what's up. They don't know about Broly, though. Drum in Bass's head tells him to go find Raditz. Bass agrees and goes to find Raditz on the throne, but instead Broly, Paragus, and Banyu are all there having some conversation about something. "You are one of the demons," Banyu comments astutely. "What business have you here?" "I'm here to see Raditz," Bass replies. "I need his assistance on behalf of Earth." "For what reason?" "There were these orbs. This group of people. They took them and they used them. They had some sort of power. They granted that group the wish of ruling my Earth, though their wish must have become some sort of monkey's paw affair, given that they were assassinated by one of my minions only seconds later. But those orbs, if they aren't reunited within a year's time, then my planet will explode, along with all of my soldiers." "Right, and where is Drum in all this?" "My father, he sacrificed himself in order to keep the Empire afloat." "Unusual story. He is within me now." "Fusion, yes. Well, I'm afraid to tell you Raditz is gone as well, killed by the last remaining Cerulean, though Broly over here was able to avenge him." "I see. Then he will have to do." "What?" "I am suggesting that I take him with me. I sense his power, greater than my own, and I needed a strong ally on this journey. If not Raditz, then him." Banyu looks to Broly. "Would you like to go with him?" "If it is what you order, I will go." "I see. You are Drum's son, yes?" she asks to Bass. "Yes." "Your name?" "Bass. But if you wish to speak to my father, I can arrange for that to happen." "What?" "If you would simply allow me to make contact with you." Banyu tilts her head to the side, confused. "That won't be necessary." "Understood. Now, Broly, why don't you go along with Bass?" "Yes, ma'am." "Very good. Now lead him to the docks and procure yourselves a ship." "Yes, ma'am." Broly leaves the side of Banyu's throne, walking down from the steps in front of it. Bass follows a few feet behind Broly as they step into the corridors of the castle. For a few minutes they walk in awkward silence until they enter a huge garage door. Broly enters a number combination and the metal door lifts up. Broly and Bass step through and are greeted by one of the soldiers. Broly tells them that they will be needing one of the faster ships. The soldier, which is the overseer of the garage, walks them to the fastest ship available, the Zen Splitter. Why is it called that? I don't know. I thought the name was cool. It's not relevant to the story. Now let's do some power scaling. Broly in Legendary Super Saiyan is stronger than Blue Kaioken Goku since he was stronger than Granola, who is as strong as Blue Kaioken Goku in this scenario. But let's walk this back for a second. Legendary Super Saiyan Broly is maybe Rose Goku Black level. Meanwhile, Bass is 25 times stronger than Super Baby Vegeta 2. Now, let me explain. Before, he was as strong as Super Baby Vegeta 2. Then Drum fused into him, which added his power, and that made it 5 times, since Drum was already 4 times stronger than him. So that's already 5 times Super Baby Vegeta 2's strength, and then you add that 5 times multiplier from the Namekian fusion on there, and that's 25 times stronger. So, considering what they are up against at this point in the story, they are pretty good for what they're up against. First off, Zen Splitter won't be falling apart like the Capsule Corp ship, so they won't land on a mecha. And unfortunately for the Namekians, things are not going to change for them. This is taking place 2 years before GT actually starts off, and Don Key has been in control of the mecha for way longer than 2 years. And due to Legic's power, the Demon Space Corps wouldn't have attempted to take down this planet's government. Though Don Key is weak, and any old Demon Space Corps soldier could assassinate him, and probably even Sheila and Gale, but not Legic. He's a different breed than them. Maybe one day Raditz could have had Broly come with him to take out Legic, but yeah, we already know what's wrong with that statement. And Banyu wasn't really intent on recruiting any more planets since a majority of the galaxy is under her thumb already, which is why Broly himself hasn't killed or recruited Legic yet. But they're not going to a mecha anyway, so whatever. No, their first destination is planet Mon Masu. Now I understand the Black Star Dragon Balls going to the exact same planets doesn't make any sense, but at the same time, it's like, where else am I supposed to put them? We don't know a lot of planets in Dragon Ball, so... And I know it's a different scenario, it's like 2 years early, but it's like, okay, where am I supposed to put that, though? Where am I supposed to put these people? These balls, I mean. Whatever. But anyway, since Zen Splitter has an automatic piloting function, it lands without issue, unlike in GT with the Capsule Corp ship. Base and Broly leave the ship, but suddenly one of the beasts on the planet attacks them. The giant alligator things with the mountains on their backs. Base simply smacks them in the face and tells them to be quiet. In pain, the monsters non-verbally agree to do so, swimming far, far away from him, Broly, and their ship. Base and Broly go to get the Dragon Ball, specifically the 4-star ball, but since they're not eating giant apples like idiots, the giant bird monster never comes to steal the ball from them. And they're not dressing up as bugs either, so they're not going to get captured by bees. Immediately after getting the ball, they head back to their ship. With one of the Black Star Dragon Balls in their possession, they take off. Next, they arrive on planet Gelbo. Base holds the radar as they fly off. And, different places, different time, but we'll just say Lane has the Dragon Ball, like in canon. Since this is 2 years earlier than normal, Zunama actually still accepts their food sacrifices, so it's fine. But when the villagers explain what's up with Zunama and how he's taking all their crops, Broly wants to help them out of the kindness of his own heart. Meanwhile, Base recognizes that having a giant monster taking all the crops on one of their crop-growing planets is going to hurt the space economy. So he also agrees to help them, solely for business's sake. Zunama appears a few minutes later, to the horror of the villagers, but Base and Broly simply perform a dual ki blast on him and shoot a hole through his chest, killing him. Lane then gives them the 6-star Black Star Dragon Ball, which is really annoying to say, but thanks, Lane. Broly thanks her and says goodbye to everyone. Meanwhile, Base has already gone off to the ship. But since Broly is way stronger, and thus way faster, he easily catches up. Not that Base was going to leave him behind or anything, because, he really needs a strong bodyguard. One of the Para brothers tries to go after them to get the Dragon Ball, but he is nowhere near fast enough to catch up to them. Well, at least he tried, but with 2 of the Black Star Dragon Balls in their possession, they take off. Since the Para brothers have failed to get the Black Star Dragon Ball, they attempt to fly away as quickly as possible in their stop to some other galaxy. So they can't incur Cardinal Muchi's wrath. Also, Lude won't awaken because of how much earlier things are for our version of GT. And while Daltaki doesn't get involved in these events, we're just going to say that maybe during an attempted colonization of Planet Lude, he just gets popped in the head. Because I don't like him. And if you've seen GT, you should know why, and you should agree with me. However, Cardinal Muchi would have quickly put an end with the invading forces when he transforms himself into Muchi. One thing I'll say about this story for world-building purposes is that the Space Demon Army, if they get fended off from a planet they attempt to colonize, they will simply cease to attack that planet until they have the proper forces required to overtake it. And in this instance, since Muchi is above base GT Goku, then they wouldn't have any forces capable of doing the job other than base or Drum or Broly. And like I said, Banyu doesn't really care about expanding anymore, and Drum and Base were both on Earth when they attempted this invasion. The next stop is the planet Rudees. Base and Broly leave the ship, only for Base to immediately collapse. The heat of the desert is too much for his demon Namekian physiology. Broly has to pick Base up and drag him back inside, leaving him in the chair. Broly tells Base that he'll go outside and find the Black Star Dragon Ball himself, taking the radar with him. When the Sandipede springs out of the sand, Broly jumps at him and simply slaps him away, only using enough power to knock them out. During his journey, another Sandipede attempts to attack him, though this is also futile, as Broly just does the same thing, chopping it on the neck and knocking it out. We don't know where or how Giru discovered the 5-star Black Star Dragon Ball in canon, but if he did encounter any trouble, and he succeeded in warding it off, Broly would have just had an even easier time doing the exact same, thus meaning they now have 3 of the Black Star Dragon Balls. While the Para brothers never got the Dragon Ball in this timeline, there will still be some Dr. Mew shenanigans going on, just under different circumstances. After all, where is the 1-star Black Star Dragon Ball? And why is that such a tongue twister, and why do I keep having to say it? Well, to answer one of those questions, just like in canon, it's inside Dr. Mew's body somehow, which is really stupid, but it's what happened in GT, so yeah. Base and Broly arrive to planet M2 as the Black Star Dragon Ball radar points them in a certain direction. It hasn't been that long since they were on Rudees, so Base unfortunately still needs time to recover. Broly will have to go it alone. When Broly goes down to the city in M2, a bunch of robots swarm him, confused. Broly is also confused. They all start saying a bunch of stuff about he shouldn't be here, or whatever, and Broly just gets tired of this and floats off towards the tower. Word spreads like fire, even with robots, though, something Trunks says himself in GT, and the Sigma Force ends up finding out about this little intruder on their planet. 4 of them detect Broly's energy, his massive energy, and rocket off towards him. They reach him just before he can enter the tower, and since they sensed his energy with their scanners, they immediately fused into Super Mega Cannon Sigma, which is a really long and stupid name. Except they're even more powerful this time because Nat hasn't been killed, so just imagine the Super Mega Cannon Sigma, but with a little bit of green on it as well. You need to leave the planet immediately, Super Mega Cannon Sigma tells him. Otherwise, you will have to face the full force of Super Mega Cannon Sigma. I don't intend to fight you. I just have to get something from this planet, and then I'll leave. You misunderstand. Organic life forms are not allowed on this planet under any circumstances. Well, I already told you I was going to leave. Why not now instead of later? I need something here. What is that? I'm looking for a Dragon Ball. It has stars on it. Have you seen it? Super Mega Cannon Sigma just decks Broly in the face. He tilts his head, confused, and puts his hand to his cheek. What was that for? You are attempting to take the Dragon Ball from Dr. Mew. That is an action that cannot be excused. Super Mega Cannon Sigma shifts into flying form, with metal wings flipping out from its back. I hope you're prepared for a battle. Broly sighs and pulls his armor forward, putting the Black Star Dragon Ball radar inside it and closing it back up. In that time, Super Mega Cannon Sigma has already swooped off into the sky and started barreling towards him. By the time he can cross his arms to defend himself, he's already being pushed through the tower. When they come to a halt after skidding to the ground, Broly shoves the huge machine off him, angered. I already told you I didn't want to fight. Super Mega Cannon Sigma simply points their hand down towards Broly and turns it into a Gatling gun, firing a bunch of metal bullets at him. He puts his arm around Ba's ear to protect it from the bullets, but other than that, all the bullets just bounced harmlessly off him. When Super Mega Cannon Sigma is done, they let their arm down. Are you done yet? Super Mega Cannon Sigma proceeds to lift their other arm and fire off more of the metal bullets. Broly opens his mouth and shoots a single ki blast, incinerating Super Mega Cannon Sigma's head. Still, though, they continue firing at him until they run out of bullets. This machine somehow functioned without a head. That's great. Broly stares silently at them for a second. Their armor retracts, and a machine gun emerges from it. Broly sighs and smacks the machine gun out of their chest, then using a single blast to pierce the machine's core. Broly turns around and pulls out the Black Star Dragon Ball radar from his armor, though Super Mega Cannon Sigma just gets back up and chops him on the neck. Broly rolls his eyes and turns back around and delivers a chop of his own, cutting the robot in half from the neck down. With the defeat of Super Mega Cannon Sigma, General Rildo has to take things into his own hands. Although a bunch of those purple robots also begin to swarm Broly, he just picks one up and uses it as a bowling ball against the horde. Soon thereafter, though, General Rildo himself shows up. Well, you must be that organic life form, right? Your power is very plentiful. I'm just looking for a Dragon Ball. You don't need to bother me. Oh, but I'm afraid I do. Dr. Mew wants those balls for himself. And you have a lot of power in you. I think you could make a great power bank for him. What? Oh, never you mind. You won't even have to worry about it soon anyway. The parts of the Sigma Force dismantle and fly towards General Rildo, liquefying and slipping onto his back. Features of Super Mega Cannon Sigma appear on General Rildo, and he has taken on a new form, Meta Rildo. He raises his hand up, and metallic spikes form next to him. He pulls one out of the floor and slashes it at Broly. Broly catches it with one hand and shoots a blast at Rildo with the other. Rildo raises his other hand and fires off his fist like a rocket. It hits Broly in the chest plate, but it just falls down. Rildo looks at Broly for a second with a sort of stupefied expression. He leans forward and picks his hand up off the ground. Broly kicks him in the chest, sending him onto his back. Rildo holds his arm up, and a large chunk of the floor straight up liquefies and absorbs him. Rildo is now transformed into Hyper Meta Rildo, which is that weird blue form he has where he's all, like, metally and stuff. Not that he wasn't metally before, of course. He hops back up and lunges toward Broly just to get backhanded back to the floor. If you stop interfering right now, I'll go get the Dragon Ball and I'll get out of your hair. Don't follow me or I will blast you. I'm warning you. So just, Broly waves dismissively at Rildo, get out of here. I will not let an organic life form like you get the best of me. Broly generates 2 green balls of ki in his fists. Well, I warned you. He fires off a legendary crusher at Hyper Meta Rildo, evaporating him from the top of his head to the middle of his chest. Hyper Meta Rildo falls over onto the ground, lifeless. Well, not that he was alive in the first place, because he's a robot, but, you know. Broly whips back around and starts flying towards the location of the Black Star Dragon Ball. Currently, Dr. Mew is in his lab, checking over Baby. Broly just busts in through the wall, alerting the doctor to his presence. What? Dragon Ball, give. I can't, it's in my body. Oh, Broly ponders this for a moment. I don't know, yeah, that's kind of gross. I mean, I need that, but if you need a couple minutes to, produce it, you know, go ahead. What? No, I don't do that, I'm a machine. Oh, you too? I don't feel that bad about taking it then. Broly rushes forward at Dr. Mew and puts his hand through his chest. Cruel, I know, but since he's a machine, he won't die from it. Not unless his motherboard is destroyed, but you know, that's not in his chest. Out of his hand, Broly pulls the 1-star Black Star Dragon Ball. He pulls his arm back out of Dr. Mew's chest and takes a step back. If you need any help preparing yourself, I'll give it to you. If not, I'm just gonna get going. I just want you to know that I only did that because you're a machine. Yes, fine, whatever, just go. I'll be on my way. Broly shoots out of the tower and towards the ship. With that done, they now have 4 of the 7 Black Star Dragon Balls. Though that's not to say things are going to be all hunky-dory moving forward. Dr. Mew types on the console in Baby's chamber rapidly, firing away at the keys. If he'd have any shot of getting things done around here, he'd need to awaken Baby. Baby does, in fact, awaken and shoot headfirst out of his chamber. He looks up to Dr. Mew questioningly. Baby, I need your assistance. I know you're not fully developed yet, but if we can simply speed up your development, you can reach your true form in no time. Baby tilts his head. To my understanding, once that man leaves our planet, a wave of Demon Space Corps soldiers will be sent to pick off our army. But so long as you defeat them, you will be able to take their power for yourself and use it to develop yourself. Baby grunts in acknowledgement. We'll simply need to wait for General Rildo to return, and then we will prepare. After we wipe out our invaders, we'll enter more of their planets to take them for ourselves. Does that sound good, Baby? Baby laughs menacingly. Baby, what are you trying to communicate? Baby raises his palm and shoots Dr. Mew into oblivion with a wave of ki. By this point, Base and Broly have already flown off planet. I don't have to listen to a single word you say, Baby slithers. But your ideas regarding my development are interesting. I will listen to what you have said, but not to your orders. I will enact our plan alone. Cutting back to our protagonists, Broly explains what happened to Base, who is still a little bit hurt, but he's fine enough now. Exactly as Baby and Dr. Mew anticipated, Base makes a call via a communicator built into the ship for Banyu to have some Demon Space Corps soldiers sent to M2 to eliminate the rest of their average robots. The robots themselves, the purple and green and white ones, I don't imagine are that strong. But I assume, since only the purple robots on M2 ever did any attacking, that the white and green ones don't really fight, so I bet they could be just taken out pretty easily. Within a couple of hours, a band of soldiers arrives in M2 equipped with blasters and newfangled scouters. These scouters are better than the ones we see in the Broly movie, being able to read power levels more accurately and up to a higher caliber. Though, since they're up against robots, it don't matter. It do not matter. The soldiers enter the main city of M2 where the tower is and begin shooting off shots at the robot. I'm just going to assume that this does in fact kill the robots, because I feel like power scaling would be pretty messed up if the regular M2 robots had power levels above 20,000. So as they wipe out the robot population, a new power approaches them, General Rildo. Just like in GT, he had not died from his battle, he regenerating using the metal of the planet. Though, afterward, Baby had approached him and attempted to take him over. Rildo was loyal to Mew, so I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be loyal to Baby. He cuts himself open and allows Baby to pour in, creating Hyper Meta Baby Rildo. And also, therefore, creating another really annoying name to say. Thanks, Baby. Now, you might wonder how Baby is controlling Rildo if Rildo is a machine. And, I wonder that too. But it happened in GT, so I'm not going to question it because it's just pointless. Like, it messes with the point of what Baby is. But, okay, listen, that's like if Cell absorbed 16. That's weird. But GT was weird, and this happened in the show, so we have to go with it. Hyper Meta Baby Rildo summons metal spikes from the ground, as he had against Broly. Though this time, when he took them, he slashed them at the soldiers, and it did something this time, because it would cut them open. Although, he would be suppressing his power enough to not instantly kill them when he slashes them. Baby pours little bits of himself into the soldiers, taking them over. The cuts weren't that big, pretty much just gashes on their body, and that was to ensure Baby wouldn't be hurt. Baby had controlled Rildo's power enough to suppress it, so they wouldn't just instantly die from one stab. Baby then refocuses his consciousness into one of the soldiers before him, allowing Hyper Meta Rildo to take his body back. So, Baby asks, what will we be doing after this? How do we continue our conquest? Dr. Mew had a spaceship in your chamber underneath the water. If we go there, I'll enter a command to drain the water, and we can take off after them. You would like that Saiyan, wouldn't you, Baby? Yes, I would. You'd like that Saiyan to be your new host, wouldn't you, Baby? Yes. That sounds like a wonderful idea. And that is where we're going to be leaving things off for now. This video did cover one whole arc, so I think this is a good place to end things off. This video is a little different since in some areas it takes a more in-depth approach to the story, what with dialogue and all, but I think it fits this video more. Sorry to leave it off in a cliffhanger, but this video is kind of long, and you'll have to stick around to see more. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe, and I am out.
Love of God!